Welcome to Alpha Wolf Trading. Did you know that there's over 12,000 stocks or companies that trade on the OTC? Between the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange, you have over 7,000 companies. But us as retail investors, we wouldn't know that unless we were researching. Because why? Wall Street focuses on the elite, the big companies. And where the retail investor has their advantage is in small and micro-cap stocks. Why? Because you have the opportunity to speak directly with leadership. That is what this is all about here at Alpha Wolf Trading. We're trying to find the hidden gems, and we interview the executive teams of companies that we think meet the parameters to be those hidden gems. I also want to make sure you understand that this is not a paid-for promotion. I collect no compensation for the interviews I do here. These companies that I interview have been identified as potential opportunities for me and the members of Alpha Wolf Trading to receive a higher than average return on our investment. These companies I have identified either because of a technical setup on a chart, a fundamental change within the organization, new management team, new products, all kinds of different things that actually lead me here. But what do I think is the most important? Leadership. And that is why I do these interviews. I want to understand what drives the person that is leading the charge. I want to feel their passion. I want to understand their vision and the strategy that they're going to use to achieve success. That is what these interviews are for. I want to understand the share structure and the cap table, the size of the TAM, the total addressable market. This is the opportunity to learn all of those things. So sit back and enjoy. And if you learn anything from today's interview, do us a favor. Subscribe to the Alpha Wolf Trading YouTube channel. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. I recommend highly that before buying any security, speak to a financial advisor and do your own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with a exciting interview from a new company that I knew nothing about up until last week. And after meeting these two gentlemen, I'm obviously excited and wanted to have them back and share what they have to say with all of you. So COYA Therapeutics, and I've got Howard Berman and Aaron. Aaron, how do I say your last name?
Swami Nathan.
Okay. You got a hard name like I have a hard name. These gentlemen have some really exciting data that is near and dear to me personally because of what I have, how I lost my father. I lost my father to dementia, and I can tell you, if you've ever been through or known anyone that's gone through that type of thing, it's an unbelievably brutal disease, not just for the person that's going through it, but for everybody that is around them. And Howard, one of the things you and I kind of share, and I just found out Aaron now also sharing, it's kind of a similar story that I went through. But Howard, maybe you give us a little bit of background on you and how you got here and what COYA Therapeutics is all about.
Yes, so this is a journey, a personal journey that has evolved over many years, but it's a personal because it was my father that unfortunately started a cognitive decline, like your father. And it was through that initial meeting that I set up when I was in a big pharma and developing drugs for companies like AbbVie and Novartis. I had hooked up my father with one of the leading experts in neurodegeneration, Dr. Appel. And it was that relationship that I developed with Dr. Appel that led to the founding of COYA, because it was based on an incredibly new area of neuroscience called regulatory T cells and Tregs, which is a central cell responsible for inflammation. Turns out that in neurodegeneration, like in Alzheimer's and in Parkinson's and ALS, the Tregs are dysfunctional and they're compromised and they're not working properly. And Dr. Appel discovered this. And so what the company was founded upon is the basis of modulating these Tregs, upregulating the Tregs, making them functional again so that you could stop or slow the inflammatory process. And so what we've done is we've been able to use two drugs. One of them is a low-dose IL-2, which props up the Tregs. It's a simple subcutaneous injection. And CTLA-4 Ig, which is a betacept, biosimilar abatacept, which slows the other pro-inflammatory cells. By doing those together, it may have synergistic effects on slowing inflammation. And COYA has now taken on a critically important role in ALS after getting proof of concept studies where we were able to publish a stop progression of the disease at 6 months using CTLA-4 and IL-2. And now we are in the process, hopefully, of opening up a large phase 2 trial in ALS. And then similarly, we're waiting on a data readout for the use of low-dose IL-2 in Alzheimer's disease. And that's coming, I would say, pretty imminently this summer. We're excited about all of this. We think that on top of that, we have validation from Dr. Reddy's laboratories that signed a $700+ million deal with us. And that's just the beginning. And Arun is working on other opportunities. I think the best thing is what makes us unique from all these other smaller companies is we've got money. We've got a strong balance sheet. And we don't need to raise money. And we've got the money in the bank to get our clinical data and move this initiative forward. So that really is a unique feature that differentiates ourselves from, I would say, 98% of companies our size.
Awesome. Aaron, when we talked last week, one of the things that I had brought up is in the micro cap space, small cap space, that right now with the rising interest rates and just the financial institutions and the toxic deals that are getting done for small micro caps, and you put me at ease very, very, very quickly by just kind of highlighting a couple of key facts that COYA, where COYA stands and how you have line of sight on certain things. You want to express that for the people watching?
Really, yes. As Howard said, we are in a unique position among these small cap companies. If you think about us at 100 million valuation today, there's probably very few companies of that valuation that have a pipeline like ours. We have assets in the clinical stage with the potential to be in the market as early as 2027, subject to data being good and all the regulatory process. But more importantly, we also have strong cash position and a line of sight to a consistent non-dilutive cash flowing through. As Howard mentioned, we executed a business development deal with Dr. Reddy's laboratories in December. It was a deal value of over $700 million, of which we have already received just from the upfront kind of money over $11 million. And we have line of sight to another 8.4 million this year, and in a relatively short period of time, once we dose the first patient in this planned ALS study, which we plan to initiate sometime this summer. So again, all of this money is non-dilutive in the sense that we are not exchanging equity in return for this money. So it's good for our current investors, keeps us going. We also have a line of sight to additional 40 million that we will get through milestone payments as the product moves along in the clinical trial. And this is all before the product is even approved. And upon approval, for ALS indication alone, we are eligible to get mid-teen royalties, as well as sales milestones up to $670 million So what this does is, assuming all of it goes well, you can see just this one deal alone could set us up where we have a steady stream of cash flow, non-dilutive, coming into COYA for the life cycle of this product. And our IP is pretty strong, and our IP extends into the 2040s. So you're looking at a very strong position. And this does not even take into account our optimism. Now, the business development world is an unpredictable world, but business development is core to our strategy at COYA for two reasons. One, we believe that partnering with the right company is the right thing to do for patients, because you can bring the drugs to them faster. You can pool the resources of not just money, but also brain power, and bring drugs more efficiently to patients. And that's why we are in the business, to bring stuff to patients that make a difference. But secondly, those partnerships allow us to focus on what we are good at, which is therapeutic expertise, drug development, moving it forward, and allow those bigger companies to do what they're better at, which is to commercialize the product, get the sales force out there. And in the process, we will get hopefully additional non-dilutive funding coming. And it's an exciting space because Howard said, COYA 301, our low-dose IL-2, there's a lot of literature data on low-dose IL-2 that shows that it can work in autoimmune diseases, neurodegenerative diseases, and the combination of low-dose IL-2 with other modalities or other drugs that are either in development or already in the market can be synergistic, meaning they can be more than 1 + 1 = 2. It can be 1 + 1 is 4 or 5, right? Not just additive, but actually synergistic. So that is very exciting, because when we have this Alzheimer's data that's coming out soon in this summer, I think we're going to have a lot of interest from potential partners in combining our COYA 301 with their assets to bring better therapies to patients. And that just opens the door for a lot of business development opportunities. So I'll pause there, but at a high level, that's why we feel pretty good about where we are at COYA. And that, to Howard's point, also means that we don't really need to raise cash now, which is a very unique situation for a company our size.
Right. So you're sitting on, I think, somewhere around 40, was it 40 million?
Yes, yeah, that's the last we publicly reported, yes.
Okay.
But as I mentioned before, we have line of sight to an additional 8.4 million in this year, so in 2024.
You just got 5 million from Alzheimer's, right?
Yes.
Okay. And let's talk about that data that's coming out. So that's a double-blind placebo, right? That is, you're going to present that. When do you think you're going to present that? In the next month or so? Howard, your mic is off.
My apologies. So we're saying the summer timeframe, and so we haven't been more specific than that. So summer, I think summer goes in Houston. Summer goes to December, but we're not talking about Houston summer. We're talking about normal summer. Summer, it goes on probably until August. But look, I think anytime between now and August, we're looking at presenting data, top line data, and we're going to stick to that. And I think there's so much data here. There's the cognitive function, there's the safety, there's the regulatory T cell function, there's the brain imaging, PET scans, there's the beta amyloid phosphotal, CSF. There's a lot of data here. So most likely, I'm not going to guarantee this, but most likely this is going to be a multi-data release where we release top line and then we release more data and we release more data. And because all of this data is really important in understanding the data and understanding the convergence of all the biomarkers together to establish how the drug is working and at the different dosing levels. So we're excited to release that in the near future, and we think that it's going to be just another part of the story in showing in talking about how Tregs play a role in these conditions.
And safety, long-term side effects, all that type type of stuff, right? I mean,
Yep, that's right.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
Now, I will say this, like what is a very interesting thing is that you typically there's our stock is down now somewhat, but it's in a situation where we have data upcoming. We've got catalysts, we've got IND filing and hopefully IND acceptance. So there's a lot of things coming up. The summer is laden with the potential milestones here. And so it's an interesting time for an investor, and it's sort of an opportunity, in my opinion, for people to look at something which has upside potential.
Yeah. So, you know, we talked, you guys currently are in a blackout period, and blackout periods suck and it's going to it can be dicey for you too, because as long as you've got material or potentially material information, the window's closed to you guys, right? I mean, you which really sucks. I mean, that in a way. And we're going to talk about the chart. We'll go through that in a minute. What I want to talk about too is the data that you've had so far for ALS and why it's so significant, right? And who wants to take that one?
I will take it. I will take it on initially, and then Arun can take it on from his perspective. Look, ALS is a terrible disease. Terrible. I don't know if you've seen any patients with it. I'm sure some of your audience has history with ALS. It's also a disease that has few drugs that work. Actually, they don't really work. And the patients decline incessantly month after month after month. Bad, bad disease. Now, what was remarkable about our data is, first of all, it was done in a trial in patients who were declining pretty precipitously prior to treatment. So it's a small patient cohort that we tested in 4 patients, but every patient serves as their own control. Patients were declining at about 1.2 points per 1.1 or 1.2 points per month on the ALS-FRS, which is pretty fast. And so at 6 months, you would have expected the patients to be at 7.2 point decline on the ALS-FRS, and then at a year, about minus 14 points. And remember, a point on the ALS-FRS can be the difference between walking with a cane and being in a wheelchair. So you can understand why the patients die in 2 to 3 years. And what was remarkable in our study is that the patients stopped progression. They stopped progression immediately, like within a month. And 4 weeks they had stopped. 8 weeks they had stopped. 12 weeks they had stopped. 16, 24 weeks they had stopped. And then going out all the way out to a year, there was a minimal decline. And every patient, basically, one patient actually reversed. One patient actually completely was on a precipitous decline and then just had a V, had a reverse. And that all of that was published in peer review paper. And then when we looked at the biomarkers over a period of time, they were lessened as well. So they reduced in the blood the levels of inflammation and oxidative stress. So that's all very exciting. Is it enough evidence to say, put your patients on this? No. We need to work through a process with FDA, which we're working in a collaborative environment, and now run hopefully a randomized double-blind study that can prove this sort of thing out in terms of safety and tolerability and efficacy and all that. So that's what's meaningful to us. That's what's meaningful to our partner in Dr. Reddy's. And Arun, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I think you've covered it, Howard. Tim, the only other thing I would add is that, from a commercial perspective, ALS is quite attractive as well. I mean, obviously, our primary objective is to bring this therapy and make this disease manageable for all patients living with ALS. But, there are about 30,000 ALS patients in the United States, plus or minus similar number in the European Union. But it's a highly concentrated market. So from a commercialization, you can have a focused sales force, which our partner, Dr. Reddy's, will be responsible for, but it's not a big sales force to reach the target prescribing physicians. In fact, data from other companies have shown that a very small percentage of physicians in the US write more than 70% of the scripts for ALS. So it's a concentrated market. We will be working closely with our partner, Dr. Reddy's, and mapping all that out. And real data, 400 million was made by Relivrio in 1 year of their launch. So ALS is a product that also has $1 billion+ potential in the United States alone, and globally you're talking about a $2 billion+ peak potential. So it also has commercial value to it, and that's important for people listening to the COYA story to understand that not only can we transform this disease, it's a disease that has a path to successful commercialization.
Okay. I mean, just these two highlights over these two diseases. I think if, like I said, if you are familiar with these things, you would be excited, I think, to hear these things right now, right? I mean, this creates hope. I mean, in a significant way, right?
Absolutely, we hope so. We hope to make it not a hope anymore, but a reality down the line. So,
right. I mean, that's where it gets really exciting. And that's why I wanted to have you guys on, right? I mean, hear the story and see where you are in the process. Like Howard said, this could be a game-changing summer for a lot of people if they were to take action. And I'm not saying, go bet the house on COYA, but I am saying that you got some interesting catalysts that are on the horizon. And with the ALS, if the data comes back as impressive as the first go around, even though it was a small cohort study, if it comes back as impressive, there is a strong likelihood that you get fast track designation, right? I mean, you get put on a fast track, and compassionate use. I don't know if compassionate use comes into play, but this could be something. How long will that study? So this second study is, you're assembling that now, right? When's the target to try and get that started, and how long will that study run, and then all of that?
We've said that we're going to file the IND in the first half of this year, which is almost up, and we will do that, and that will meet our obligations. And then the IND will be opened. It's as soon as the FDA gives the green light, that's when the IND will be opened and patients can be dosed. And then it'll take we estimate about a full year to enroll. And so we anticipate a top line readout by the end of next year, in the fourth quarter of 2025 for the ALS study.
Okay. And we already went over the fact that you guys are good on cash. How many shares outstanding, fully diluted?
Approximately 15+ million shares. And then there's an additional 1.5 million, give or take, million shares, warrants that were still left over from the IPO, but it's out of the money at this point. It's at $7.50, and it expires in December. So it's a small number of shares outstanding, and actually the stock is it's a small float. So that's sort of it can be a curse, and it can be an extremely good thing on the upside.
Yes, it can be. It can make one of these. It can make it literally can get stupid, right? I mean, when you have as small of a float as what you're looking at, one really good piece of press or news, and this thing could go parabolic, right? I mean, it can get
That's right,
very quickly. So, and these are two huge diseases. So that's, and I, like I told you guys, this weekend I was thinking about you guys and thinking, God, I hope this data comes back solid, right? Because this is going to just make a lot of people happy. It'd make me happy. I mean, my dad's gone, nothing I can do about it, right? But I don't know if it's a genetic thing. I don't know if dementia's coming my way or how, but I can tell you, I don't want to go through that. No way. I don't want to put the people I care about through that, because it's painful. It is a painful thing. And if you said it at the beginning before I started recording, Howard, you want to make an impact, right? And there would be, to me, that would be a huge impact, right? If you can extend out or reverse or stop the progression of diseases like these two that we're talking about, that would be an unbelievable impact, right?
Well, I think so. And to be frank, it's not just the patient, it's the families as well who suffer with your loved one. And it's very meaningful for the society is to make this sort of difference. So look, the data is a preliminary data from in Alzheimer's from approximately 40 patient data set, and at 2 different doses versus placebo. So I think it's going to be an important part of the puzzle to understand the role of the regulatory T cell enhancement in this disease. So, but ultimately, I think, remember, the combination approach is the future, and how the drugs work together in combination with other drugs. That's very exciting. That's sort of the thesis that we have, which is why COYA 302, which is a combination of 2 drugs, is our centerpiece, our mantelpiece.
Right. So I mean, right now it's these two diseases, but where this goes, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, there are plenty of opportunities out there for you to, plenty of directions to go in with this particular solution, right?
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything I've missed, guys, that you feel as though I haven't covered?
No, I think the important thing is to understand the catalysts, the near-term catalysts, and what can make the story exciting or further exciting for investors. Understanding that we're executing and we've under promised and we're over delivering. We meet usually every milestone that we say we're going to meet. We've got cash on the balance sheet, and that Arun is an incredibly gifted business development expert, and so he's actively working, hopefully, to bring in the next deal, like we did with Dr. Reddy's, and really transform what we're doing there. So I think we've got all the pieces, and we've got great support operationally with our regulatory and our manufacturing and all our clinical operations. So we're excited. We think this is our mission, and we are not slowing down whatsoever.
Yep. So the first time we met, Howard, I just want everybody to know this, that the stock price irritates you because, and I mean, I'm used to this kind of thing because I've been involved in the markets for 37 years. I've seen things that absolutely do not make sense at all. And the market can stay irrational for a long time. Okay. You have to have patience. There's one particular trait that you have to have as an investor is you have to have patience, and you have to have conviction, right? So you have to do your homework. You have to understand the company and who's leading the charge, right? So that you can feel good about when the market doesn't make any sense and the stock price does not reflect what is happening within the company. You have to know and feel the conviction that these guys are onto something. I'm not just sticking in, I'm adding, right? I mean, if things go on sale in life, what do? We go, oh man, it's on sale, I'm going to buy it. The only thing that goes on sale in life that people don't buy is stock. For some reason. I don't know. It has a lot to do with Wall Street because they teach people, oh, don't buy low price stocks because they're low price for a reason. They're garbage companies. Well, that's, that's in some cases that's true. And then there's other cases where low prices mean this is an unbelievable deal, right? You just have to do your homework and understand that. So now one of the things that attracted me to this story right off the bat was the fact that Howard has a personal experience with this disease. It's a passionate thing. It was his father. And that meeting, you getting him to the expert and then the expert coming to you and saying, I mean, how did that exactly transpire, Howard? The doctor that you took him to?
How did it transpire? Well, I pulled some strings to get him in to see the best of the best. And so it was my proactivity that facilitated my father's initial visit to Dr. Appel.
Okay. But then the doctor came back and said, I'm working, I discovered something. You want to take a look at the data, right?
Yeah, that's right. So this whole initiative was precipitated from this relationship with Dr. Appel that said, meet me in a week and I want to show you some other data. And so it was that meeting and the meeting after and his presentation, which was so compelling to me that I said, there's no way that I can pass up on this opportunity. Because he asked me, Howard, will you take this initiative forward and would you help me commercialize this? And it didn't take me long to say, yes, I will do so, because he's also a very inspiring person, Appel.
Okay. I mean, and you recognize, I mean, it wasn't couldn't help your dad, but could help future fathers, right? Somebody else's father.
Correct.
Okay. And then a run, we just had before we hopped on, your uncle is going through.
Yeah, no, similar story to Howard's dad. I mean, I talked to my mom. It's my mom's brother, and yeah, absolutely. He used to be in the Merchant Navy as a captain. It was a very active person, a very charismatic personality, actually. And to see him how he is now is devastating for my aunt, for my cousins, my mom, the whole family, right? It's the sad part, Tim, is this is not anymore becoming a unique story. This almost everybody seems to know someone like this, right? Either a family member or a friend. And I think that's where it is just devastating to watch this disease because it has impact on the patient and on the caregivers equally. It takes a big toll on the caregivers as well. So, that's what Howard and I and the whole COYA team is passionate about, is to do what we can to see if we can convert hope to reality, right? As you mentioned before, can we get things where we can actually make a difference for these patients? And nothing would be more satisfying than seeing that happen. And we're looking forward to seeing the Alzheimer's data in the next couple of months. And that'll be the first step in where we go from there, right? So we are eagerly awaiting that. And kicking off the ALS trial, like you said, two diseases that are just devastating and with very little options still. And we are hoping to make a change there. So,
All right. So I mean, it's not all about the money, but the TAM on those two, not thinking about anything else or where this can go towards some other type of diseases, but just the TAM on those two. What do you see that as?
I mean, obviously the total addressable market on something like Alzheimer's, Tim, is huge, right? I mean, there's so much data out there. It depends on whether you are segmenting into certain Alzheimer's patients or not. But the market itself is a 20 billion, 30 billion plus market, which is why there are so many big pharmaceutical companies also pursuing it, because one, there are no options. These trials are expensive. But the reward can be great, both from helping patients, but also, to your point, financially. Yes, Alzheimer's is a huge market, an untapped market. ALS is a concentrated but very attractive commercial market, as I previously mentioned as well. So together, we are in a high unmet need space. And by definition, when you're bringing solutions in a high unmet area, there's commercial opportunity co-travels with that, right? It's true in medicine, it's true in other businesses as well, but especially true in medicine. If we're not we're working on diseases that have very little options, so it can be commercially attractive.
Okay. I'm gonna do a real quick. I'm gonna move your. So here's what I recommend as I'm moving your logo out of the way. Go to COYA Therapeutics and sign up on their IR email alerts. That way, you can start paying attention to what's happening over there at COYA. And as news comes out, it will get sent directly to your email, right? Instead of seeing the stock take off and then go searching and find out why it moved, you can just open your email. But let's take a look at the technicals, which, I was telling Howard last week, yes, it's having a little bit of a pullback, but nothing goes straight up ever. And you really don't want it to be a parabolic straight up move anyway, because it's typically unsustainable. You get that huge lift and then it winds up coming back down. What you like to see is a nice stair step, right? Nice stair step approach. Take the stairs up. And if you look at the stock, look, you actually were on the market in 23, right? And you kind of traded it within a range for, let's see, January, all the way up through basically almost the whole year. October, November, what was it? November, you started to break out of this range that you were trading in. You were trading in this box. I don't know if you can see my. Let's see. Well, it doesn't matter. It was between $5 and I think you got down to right around 325 or so, right? And then when you broke above 5, it was kind of a nice trajectory you went right up to 10, and now you pulled back and you're sitting right around 6. And there's an interesting little area of support right here. And I told you last week, I don't care where you trade throughout the day, it's where you close that matters, right? So you kind of you broke below 7, and that was this morning, and now you're already back above 7, right? So it'll be interesting to see where you trade or where you close over the next few days. But you have very good support at right around $5. Okay, that was the area where you were having difficulty getting through before. So that should be a very solid area of support. Okay, and it's still the trend will still be from the lower left to the upper right, and that's really what you want to maintain, is just that trend of progressing higher. I know, Howard, you would like it to go higher. You want it to go back to 10. And I think, look, if the data comes in strong, not only will it go back to 10, you'll be in blue sky, right? You'll be sitting there, and who knows where the top actually is. Because once you take out the high, that's blue sky, right? And if the data is compelling, the data is strong, I think that's going to happen. You have a very small float, 11 million shares in the float, something to that, maybe. That's nothing. That's nothing, right? That's where a stock like this could literally get parabolic off of one really solid piece of data, and it could be really fun. It could be life-changing for a lot of people in many ways. This could be life-changing from the disease itself, the 2 diseases, and then the treatments for it, and then literally you could get very wealthy off of being in the right place at the right time. right? So that's why this is an exciting story all the way around. When do you guys think that I should be looking at having you guys back and doing an update?
Well, I think soon. I think like I said, the day. I think you should do another call once we have the data released, this top line data, and or any other near term milestones which may occur even before that. And once that happens, I think we should come back and we should re update the group and your audience as to the things that we've been able to accomplish.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. I love it. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Is there anything else that you want to say before I turn this off?
No, I want to thank you. This was great. I actually learned a little bit about my stock today from listening to you. I didn't know.
Well, it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time for the chart, but there is no question that the trend is from the lower left to the upper right, and that is the most important thing, because that's momentum, right? Momentum is a very difficult thing to break to either direction. I mean, if you're in a downward trend, it's very difficult to break it to the upside. You got to find something that has equal or greater force, right, to break that trend. So right now, you have a good trend started, and you know you've got data that is coming, right? And we know that the first set of data was extremely bullish. I mean, Aaron, I think you and I were talking, if you only get half as good of the results as you got before, that would still be like really meaningful in the medical community, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. I look. I think this is a watershed moment for us, and I think this in Alzheimer's and ALS are two different diseases. Alzheimer's has been everyone's talking about beta amyloid and these drugs that can mitigate amyloid. They don't really work very well, and they're very, very toxic, right? They cause brain edema, swelling, and they can cause brain shrinkage. I don't know if people understand that. Imagine being able to take a subcutaneous injection, this low dose IL-2, and in combination with another medicine that we inject subcutaneously at home, don't even have to go to the office, and be able to see good results with that. And that sort of at the home setting therapy, which can be well tolerated and can slow or stop the disease. That's what we're aiming for here. And look, I think it's an extremely exciting time in medicine now. I think we're only scratching the surface and understanding the disease, but it's very clear that inflammation plays a central role, and we're committed to driving this therapy forward, making a difference. We think that this is the right time, and we are excited, and we're really appreciative of you in this interview.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys doing this, and as soon as you have some new data that we think is worthy of talking about, we'll come back and we'll do a quick hit on that. Okay. Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Trading. Today we had Howard Berman and Aaron Swaminathan from COYA Therapeutics, ticker symbol COYA. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Trading, and we'd appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best of success.